Alright, so here is the new task, you guys. Sacrifice your knight right in the opening stage in order to win fast. That sounds crazy, right? In this video, ladies and gentlemen, I'm gonna show you 7 traps in 7 different openings where you can actually sacrifice a knight and confuse both Stockfish and your opponent, but still come out victorious very quickly. If you want to be surprised, stay tuned and be sure to hit the like button, subscribe to my channel. Let's go! Trap number 1 in the Halloween Gambit. So this is where we begin with e4, then black plays e5, and then you go knight to f3, and then black resigns. Oh, wait, I just wanted to get your attention. So after knight to f3, knight c6 is what everybody plays, at least most people, after which I recommend to go knight c3. And let me turn on the Lichess database to show you what everybody plays. So as you can see, the top played move in the Lichess database is knight to f6 when you play knight c3. This is called the 4 knights opening or the 4 knights game. Now you guys, immediately you see this move, I suggest you go berserk by simply playing the unexpected knight takes e5. You sacrifice your knight. Then again, the top played move is knight takes e5. Now wait a second, you guys, this is called the Halloween Gambit. I have a full video on this gambit which has just popped up in the card above. So watch that video after you finish watching this one. So the idea of the Halloween's Gambit, ladies and gentlemen, is to sacrifice a minor piece for rapid development of our center pawns. The whole idea is to take the whole center, as you can see, and now black will most of the time go back to e5, as you can see, knight e5, and this is when you can play pawn to f4. So you can see how we are playing this only with our pawns, and after e5 there's literally nothing here. The only move is knight g8, which you are going to see them playing, and this is what I was talking about, you guys. Look at all of black's pieces doing nothing at the back. Now you simply go pawn to d6. Trust me, they are going to take, after which you take back. Now your pawn on d6 is a monster pawn, ladies and gentlemen. The simple plan here is to go queen e2 check, and black will be forced to give up one of his minor pieces. So that's how you get back a piece. So here everyone again plays queen b6, as you can see with your own eyeballs, double attacking your pawn on d6. But hey, you have knight b5 which defends the pawn on b6 together with your queen. So let's say king d8 to stop knight c7 check, but you just continue with pawn to f5 attacking the knight, and again they are going to play knight a5. You are only going to be seeing the top played moves, you guys. After knight e5, I suggest you go bishop f4. You want to win their knight. This is why you're most likely to see them playing pawn to f6, which is the top played move and the mistake. Because now you can simply go queen d2. The plan is to castle long. So after queen d2, you're going to see them play pawn to s6. But hey, instead of going knight c7, the best move here is bishop e3 attacking the queen. And after something like queen c6, now you go queen a5 check. And here black is simply losing, you guys. You have all sorts of tactics. First, you're going to win the free rook on a8. Before we move on to the next trap, let's look at another possibility that black can try out. Alright, so back to our 4 knights game initial position, where black plays knight to f6, and then you surprise them by taking on e5, sacrificing your knight. Yeah, the top played move is still knight takes e5, and then you go pawn to d4. Now this time, instead of black playing knight c6, which we just finished looking at, you may see them playing knight g6. So once again, just keep on marching forward with your pawns, and just like in the previous line, black only has one valid move, knight g8. Now the simple plan here is as highlighted, you guys. You will play bishop c4. You will develop your queen and go pawn to h4. That's all. So you start with bishop c4, targeting the weak f7 square. And here you can see the top played move is pawn to d6. And now you go queen f3 because that's what we said. And the top played move here is bishop e6. And now you don't even have to take the bishop, even if you can. You have a better move, you guys. It's all about looking for better moves, not looking for good moves. So a better move in this position is queen takes b7. Let them take your bishop because you have queen c6 check. And if queen d7, it's not about the bishop, it's about the hanging rook on a8. So they better not block the check with their queen or their elbow. They better just accept to lose their right to castle. And that's when we take the free bishop. And after de, you go d takes e5. Not that black cannot even take your knight like what they do, because you have queen e4 pinning this knight, and there's nothing that black can do to save the knight. For example, pawn to f6. We have pawn to f4, and on the next move, we are going to win this knight. So that's just about that. Again, if you thought the h4 pawn is free, nah, you can just take that free knight. And if queen takes, you simply take on f7, that's check, and after king d8, only move. Now you go queen takes g7, threatening to win the rook on h8, or simply give a check on g5. Trap number 2, the 4 knights game, Gansberg variation. So again, you start with e4, e5, knight f3, knight c6, knight c3, and once again we see the 4 knights game. This time we are not going to sacrifice our knight on e5 right away. We are simply going to play pawn to a3. Now let me say something interesting about this opening, you guys. When Magnus Carlsen was 11 years old, he played this opening against a 22-42 rated chess player, Samsa, in 2002, and he actually won a very great game. So pawn to a3 here is a prophylactic move, or a waiting move, waiting to see what black is up to before you show your cards. Now in this position, you guys, bishop c5 is the top played move, after which I am sure that Magnus would have played knight takes e5, temporarily sacrificing his knight, so that after knight takes, now he can go d4, trying to force black to give up his bishop pair very early. If they don't, now here comes f4. And you just keep on expanding your pawns. Surely black is going to lose a piece. But hey, this didn't happen in the game that was played between Magnus and Samsa. Carlsen's opponent didn't play bishop c5. He played pawn to g6. But once again, you guys, try to guess the move that Magnus played in this position. Once again, Magnus unleashed this unexpected move, you guys. Knight takes e5, just like what we do in the Halloween Gambit. So you can see that these are not just dubious moves. Knight c6 was played, and then pawn to d5. You see, Magnus just kept on pushing his center pawns to gain more central space. Again d6 to start controlling the d6 square like that. The simple idea is to go queen e2 check and win back a piece. So this time, instead of black playing queen b6, they played queen f6, double attacking the d6 pawn, but Magnus still played knight b5, defending the pawn and also intending to go knight c7 check and win the rook on a8. Black played knight a6. Here Magnus just continued with bishop c4, and after bishop h6, castle shot. So at the cost of a piece, you develop your pieces very quickly, get initiative, and try to put more pressure on your opponent. For example, here it is even very difficult for black to defend knight f5, but here you can just win black's queen on f6 like this, and the game is over. Anyways, trap number 3, in the real Gambit accepted. So this is why you start with e4, then black plays e5, knight f3, knight c6. Then instead of going knight c3 this time, you play bishop b5, the Ruy Lopez. Now this is something that you guys have never seen before, and I promise, just give me a second. So if you are a keen follower of the World Championship games and other Masters games, you must know the Berlin defense, which is the most popular move nowadays, knight to f6. So knight to f6 attacks the undefended pawn on e4, but here I just recommend you castle shot, giving up your e4 pawn. This is called the real Gambit. If black takes, now this is called the real Gambit accepted. The top played move, ladies and gentlemen, in this position is rook e1. Sometimes white players can even go pawn to d4, but the surprise that I want to introduce to you guys is knight takes e5 right away. You sacrifice a knight. I mean, for free. Have you ever seen anything like this, you guys? I doubt, but the idea is if black takes back, now you go rook e1, so most of the times black plays pawn to f5, after which you can go pawn to d3. You want to take back your piece, but you can see again pawn to c6 is by far the top played move. Black is counter-attacking your bishop so that if you take the knight, they can still be up a piece after taking your bishop. But here you have e takes f5, black's knight is pinned to the king, and there is nothing that black can do to save that knight. On the next move, you're going to equalize material. At least you have the same number of pieces. And after d5, yeah, you don't play knight c3 because black can play bishop b4, pinning your knight to the rook, which is why you still have to use your mind and play something like bishop e3, which also stops queen b6 check. And after bishop b4, now you go c3. And this is good for white, you guys. You have plenty of options to take and many strategies. Just look at how you disturbed black's plans and make him play on your terms. Anyways, this is a pawn sacrifice. If they take it, now you have bishop d4 attacking the light squared bishop and also the g7 pawn, and there's little that black can do to save material in this position. So this is completely winning for white, you guys. So that was in the real gambit accepted. Let's move on. Trap number 4. In the modern it's a risky gambit. Now I know that you are already aware of the bishop's opening that later transposes into the Stafford gambit like this. And I just published a new video on this gambit that has popped up in the card above, or you can find it in the comment section down below. And if you remember very well, all of black's possibilities that I have highlighted in red are blunders or mistakes. For example, knight c6 is a mistake, pawn to d6 is a mistake, and also bishop e7 is a mistake. If you want to know why, simply watch that video which is in the comment section down below. So the correct move here, which Stockfish even supports, is pawn to f6. And in the past, I recommended the move knight to h4, but not anymore, cause this is not the only thing that you can play in the modern kids are risky. After pawn to f6, the other interesting move is castle shot. That's the new idea which I recommend you guys, and you need to try this. Now, as you can see in the Lichess database, pawn to c6 is by far the top played move. You can see with your own eyeballs. If your opponent plays pawn to c6, it's time to say hallelujah, because now you have knight takes e5, sacrificing your knight once again in the opening stage to gain quick initiative. You guys, you need to learn these tricks. The idea is to mate black as fast as you can on f7 like this. And yes, king e7 leads to mate in 1. So black should not do that. He better plays pawn to g6, blocking the check, and still you go queen takes e5 check, and on the next move you're going to win the free rook on h8. Even if they play d5, you don't even have to rescue your light squad bishop because you have very good moves like bishop h6, and on the next move you may play something like rook e1, pinning the queen to the king. If you want to know more about this, watch the video in the comment section down below. Let's look at another line. Trap number 5 in the Scotch gambit. Now this is where you start with e4, then black plays e5. You go knight f3, knight c6, and right away you go pawn to d4. The top played move, as you can see in the Lichess database, is e takes d5, after which you go knight g5. What's the idea? Because we don't have a light squared bishop on c4 this time. Why developing the knight so early? Well, because we have plans to sacrifice it on f7 just like that, double attacking the queen and the rook on h8. So black has to take, and this is when we develop our light squared bishop with check. And trust me you guys, all these highlighted moves in red are mistakes. The best move that black can play here is king g6, which is a very hidden move. And I can guarantee you none of your beginner opponents or your intermediate level opponents are going to see this move. The top played move is king e8, but this leads to checkmate very quickly after queen h5 check and king e7. And here there's a mate in 4, which starts with queen f7 check, king d6, bishop f4 check, and if king c5, simply go queen d5 check, and on the next move you mate black in style. If they don't play king c5 and let's say they block your check with knight e5, well, you have queen d5 check, and on the next move you take that pawn knight and mate like this. And so after sacrificing your knight and playing bishop c4 check, if black doesn't play king e8 and let's say they go king e7 this time, well, the best I can advise here is to find attacking moves first. Since this is a gambit, please note that queen h5 doesn't attack a thing. You don't have bishop g5 check. So the move to remember here is pawn to c3. If black doesn't do anything about this, we are just going to take that pawn. But if they take, which is a blunder, now you go knight takes c3, taking with the tempo. If knight f6, you give a check, and look at this you guys, they mostly take this knight, after which you go queen takes d5. Next you are threatening to mate black as highlighted. Anyways, so you're going to see black playing queen e8, stopping queen f7 check, but you have another unexpected sack you guys, bishop g5 check. And the only move is for black to play hg, after which you go queen takes g5 check, king d6 only move, you castle along with check, and on the next move you're going to mate black like this. So if you want to know more about this gambit, once again, simply watch the video that has popped up in the card above, or you can easily find it in the comment section down below. And don't forget to hit the like button once again if at all you like this video. Subscribe to my channel as well and turn on the bell notification icon so that you don't miss any of my future uploads. Let's move on. Trap number 6 in the beginner's defense. Now I cannot end this video without showing you guys something good for black as well. So this is where white starts with d4 and then you go knight c6. I love this trap with all my eyeballs. The move you are looking for in this position is d5, because that's the idea of developing our queen's knight first, inviting pawn to d5. And now you go knight e5, and once again you can see pawn to e4 is by far the top played move. White is trying to gain some more central space. Let them have it. Just play pawn to e6, and again you can see pawn to f4 is by far the top played move. After this, I recommend you just ignore what black is doing and again sacrifice your knight on e5. The idea is if f takes e5, now you go queen h4 check, and if pawn to g3, you're simply winning white's rook on h1. You might not see white blocking the check with pawn to g3. They mostly play king d2, but if you watched my Mykonos video that has popped up in the card above, you are aware of this trick, you guys, where you can easily force a draw even against a grandmaster. The game is in your hands. There's no way you can lose this game. The trick is just to start moving your queen in these highlighted squares. For example, queen h6, king c3, queen c6 check. Just keep on giving perpetual checks. King b3, queen b6 check. And here, if you want, you can even go for a win after bishop b4 check. I discussed this move in the video that I've already linked in the comment section. But hey, if you just want to make a quick draw and go home, just go queen c6 check, king d3, queen h6 check, king d2, queen h6 check, king e2, queen h5 check, king e1, again you go queen h4 check, king e2, queen h5 check. And now white thinks you no longer have queen a6 check if they play king d3. But this happens to be a blunder because it hangs the queen on d1. I've won a game like this against a 2100 rated chess player. Done. Trap number 7 in the Ruy Lopez. So this is called the fishing pot trap, you guys, where white begins with e4, then you go e5, knight f3, knight c6, bishop b5, knight f6. So white castles short. Now, instead of taking this pawn on e4, which white sacrificed, well, you can simply go knight g4, ignoring that pawn. And again, you can see in the Lichess database, pawn to h3 is by far the top played move, but don't worry about this. You have h5, once again sacrificing your knight in the opening stage. The idea is if hg, which is a blunder, now you can take back on g4, and your plans are very simple. For example, if knight h2, you go queen h4, and there's nothing that white can do here to stop the mate on h2. If pawn to f3, you advance your g pawn, and on the next move, you're going to mate white on h1. But not too fast, because the white king can escape from Sobibo. So before playing queen h1, simply go knight d4, taking away the only remaining square for the king. And on the next move, you are going to mate white on h1. So that's it for today, you guys. Hope you enjoyed watching this video. If at all you did, don't hesitate to hit the like button, subscribe to my channel if at all you haven't already, because that's how you motivate me to do more of these wonderful works. And remember to check out my courses at www.KaspaChess.com, which are very affordable at the moment. And you can also sign up for my free masterclass. Join me on Patreon, which is my membership site, where I post more and more detailed studies, you guys. Let's grow this community together, and hope to see you soon in my next video. Until next time, bye bye.